Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zip Community Live broadcast of the WTRL TTT number 147. We are out on San Sequoias for 42 kilometers of racing. Number 147, a little bit longer race for us out here today. 147 races, Dave. This is, we're pushing up to the World Tournament coming up real soon as well. I think there's gonna be a lot of people out here practicing, getting ready for that. We've got a lot of flat up front. Tempest Fugit, the addition to Zwift that came by a couple of years back, and then we are out on the Titans Grove with a little bit of a climb into the redwoods and land of the dinosaurs. A little bit of Jurassic Park going on out there today.
Yeah, this it's right down the middle as far as this course goes. It's not a pure TTT course. It's also it's not a wild ride out here either, like Harrogate might be. So this should be good for the teams that are well drilled in the team time trial discipline. You're going to want to have your climbing legs with you. Titans Grove, it's not a monster climb, but it's a decent amount of time that you're sitting there in that kind of trying to find a rhythm. And as a team, it's a little more challenging. It's always fun. 147. So, yeah, we're getting close to 3 years of where it all began with WTRL. I'm excited for this one today. Is the community teams, Nathan, they've still got another team time trial to race in the ZRL. We're done with team time trialing as far as Premier League goes, but this is going to be an interesting day.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump down. We're going to jump right on into the racing. We're going to cover across a few of the categories today. We do have one featured team. I'm loving these down and dirty boys. They keep on throwing us different teams within the categories today. I think the Blackbirds are going to be who we are in with. So loving the dirt team. I also heard that we have muffins in the mail. So interesting enough, we're going to have. It seems that they're responding, Dave. Chat is responding, and they for some reason everybody wants to feed us. We'll see if we get the pizzas in the mail as well with some pineapple on them as quickly as we possibly can. I'm not sure if Dave is going to throw that in the trash or if he'll actually consume the pineapple pizza. I'm not sure, Dave. What's going to happen if nope? So if you send Dave pineapple pizza, I guess it's not going to be consumed. You'll have to forward it on from Colorado to Wisconsin.
I'm kidding. I would eat it, but and certainly it's the thought that counts, right? So, Nathan, I heard that pineapple pizza during the pandemic has gone up in popularity 75%. Okay,
is this a real thing? No, come on.
This is a real thing on a podcast earlier today, but they followed that up by saying cheeseless pizza or a vegan cheese alternative pizza has gone up 300%. So I was like, wow, well, there you go. People are out of their minds because anybody who wants a pizza without cheese, that's no longer even a pizza. So we, obviously, this goes back to 147.
So there's a correlation here to people ordering more pizzas then because people are ordering out during the pandemic.
Yes,
and so what podcast are you listening to is what I want to know that they're talking about this. It not being said. We'll leave that alone. We're leaving it alone. Got it.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be available worldwide, but yeah, I'm not going to give them a plug here. It was a comedy podcast. So the subject was pineapple pizza for sure. So, all right, so taking a look here. Again, let's talk about the details super quickly. Not everybody, Nathan, has you've seen more WTRLs than I have. No one has seen more than Martin. We have some folks that have raced an incredible number based on the fact that they some days will even do 2 on a Thursday. But let me hit some bullet points for you here really quickly. There's 19 different time zones that race. This is the Platinum League. This is the top, usually 11 qualifying teams from the previous week. The courses change every week. So yeah, we will revisit courses every now and then, but it's not that often. They've got a real menu of courses that they use at WTRL. So that being said, Today we're on a 43-kilometer course. It's 2 laps out here. And Nathan noted at the top of the broadcast, this is really original world. Not quite OG, but where we are here has been around for quite a while. Most racers or anybody who rides on Swift would be super familiar with this. So with 43 kilometers, 2 laps out here, Titans Grove is fun. We've lately had some awesome Easter eggs in races that we were doing at McCurry Islands, which is the newest world and expansions, and the kappa has really caught our attention lately. There's no kappa here, but there are some dinosaurs that we're going to see out on the course today. Now, teams start with 8. Most will have 8 these days. I mentioned the 19 different zones around the planet. Well, it ends up on a typical week. We can check in with Martin. I see he's with us on Discord. 6,000, 7,000 racers, well over 1,000 teams these days. So it's really quite a phenomenon. Almost 3 years of this, Nathan. So fourth rider is where you get your time from. And I'd imagine we'll see a decent number of teams finishing with more than 4 today.
I would think so. It's not going to be extremely steep, as you were saying. It's kind of a rolling climb until the second half of it. And the second half of it only lasts about a minute or two, a minute, maybe two, in order to get up to the top of this climb as we jump in with the Vikings. This name. Want to help me
Oh
out here,
boy.
Dave? What this
Oh
one is?
gosh.
This is
All right.
Rig Jafilk. Rig Jafilk. Probably totally. How would you pronounce that one?
Okay, well, so what I love is there are 3 different Vikings teams in this race, right? Am I correct on that? You've got Vikings,
Yeah, there's
Riga Fico.
Mjolnir, Valhalla, Rigafilk. Nice job. Yep, and they were the
Riga
first ones to go
Filco.
out
Yeah, we'll
there.
go with
So,
that. Um,
uh,
you know what, Nathan? One thing I enjoy about what we do is that no matter how much we have struggled, we're like the last place Mocha team as far as name pronunciations for Norwegians and Swedes maybe and Latvians. There's a few nations that are Iceland, but we don't quit. We never give up, do we? We're relentless in our pursuit, even though uh, we don't do well with Norwegian names. We refuse to give up, and I think Norwegians would appreciate that spirit, right?
for me, it's the French names for some reason. Something that they do with those
The
vowels and
Quebec ones,
consonants that I just
yeah, the
cannot.
French Quebec
I
names
just
are
cannot
really.
get those ones for some reason. So, let's take a look at the course records. This is going to be a
If
little
you
longer
can't laugh at
race.
yourself, Nathan, if you can't laugh at yourself, you've got a real problem, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
obviously, I do. So, yeah, go ahead. The course records. Look at this. 43K. I'm trying to see that. Did they get? Yeah, under 55 minutes there for Kirkmari Racing Team.
Yeah,
Under
we're looking at almost
54
an
with
hour
WTRL.
across the board. It's going to be pushing up to almost an hour. Some of them over an hour of racing team time trial out here today. So this is essentially an FTP effort. Because
A
1
real
hour,
one, not a
a real
20-minute
one,
test,
exactly,
right? This is a full
exactly.
hour.
This is
Um,
a full hour of functional threshold power.
Actually, it doesn't get any more real than that, does it? I'm curious. I do know Martin, the brains, the mastermind of WTRL, is listening right now. We haven't spoken with Martin today, but the longest ever, Nathan. Do you happen to know off the top of your head? I don't expect you to because there's just so much data that you manage there. But this maybe not the longest, but it's certainly a top 3, I would think.
Up the Swift is probably, I would think.
Well, time or distance, right? I guess that's the other
Yeah,
thing because
yeah, I would say.
obviously an extensive amount of vertical gain changes things.
The records
So,
here, I'm seeing Steve H is coming in saying holding the Frappe record for AHDR back in the day when they were fast. Nice job for AHDR. One with that 56-55 out of Frappe here. So solid times. Dopio, this is that old school. I remember actually we broadcasted this WTRL Volendam 53-27 when they set that record. Kirchner E Racing Team Men that might actually been set. I'm gonna figure out when that was set because some of these may be from. I'd be surprised if any of these were from today, though, because this is some old school pack dynamics. I am seeing for the day so far, Cyrus no pins are showing up, and
I love
not
that
only are
team.
they winning the TTT last week in the Premier Division, they won last week also in the WTRL TTT, and now they've set a 53-43. But Volendam still holding on there with the 53-27. And even to come close to those old pack dynamics, though, is a pretty big accomplishment in and of itself, just because it was a little bit easier to roll through. But this is a new record here out of Espresso with that 54-57. I was guessing that was with that Kirchner e-racing team. So congratulations them setting a new world record in Espresso. We'll see if any more records do get broken throughout the day here today, but that's the current situation with the course
Well, they
records. The splits are starting to come in, Dave, here for the lattes, and it looks like it's a 14-22 for Lancaster chasing down the Vikings right now. Twin second.
oh only 10 seconds difference there. They every dog finds a bone. Nathan is the longest distance ever is what we're doing out here today. So the real other long one is out and back. But this is the high end, the longest distance that we race. You did make a
Yeah,
good point, though. It might not be the longest amount of time, but my question was answered. So
back to
we'll take a look at the times coming through. Different splits out here today throughout the 43K. It's a little under 43K. I'm rounding up right now, like the IRS, but it's 12, 20, and 30 kilometers are the checks. This first one coming in with TFC Lancaster, and that's the team that we're with right now. This is a super squad, no question. These twisty parts out here, it's even harder to maintain, but they've got some real solid team time trial skills on display here, putting on a bit of a clinic, boys. Nice job.
yeah, 10K mark. They came through with that 14-22.
Here's
It
the
looks like
rhinos.
Milner, though, and with a 14-19, and then the Rhinos just rolling over everybody.
Holy cow. They are rhino bulls just charging. A pack of rhinos is terrifying. I think rhinos, I kind of think of them as solitary animals. So you can only imagine when they get together, the dynamic. This is going to be one of the Valhalla teams. Nathan, I wasn't kidding when I was saying that the Vikings have three different teams out here today. It's amazing the participation that we see. As this is our latte group that we're in with.
I want to give a
So
shout out to
is
Matt
this going?
Gardner, who helps, is one of the managers and DSs and also riders, I think, for Cyrus No Pins. He's hanging out in the chat and he's letting us know WTRL Valentine, they're safe for now. I love it. And he says they're safe for now.
What was the
They
difference?
only
7 seconds or something? It was very
they had
close.
like 20-30 seconds, but they only had 5 riders today over 42 kilometers. Gardner's letting us know. So, and actually, there's a cool Instagram post over on Cyrus No
Wow.
Pins from this morning. I woke up and it was one of the first things I saw was a cool little reel that they posted of their TTT today. So definitely go check that out.
Oh, right on.
Only with 5 riders. I do remember WTRL Valentine had, I believe, at least not at least, but had the full 8
You know,
when they set that record though.
we have a couple hours of racing today, so now's a great time to drill down a little bit. What Cyrus has been doing, Cyrus No Pins, it's happening on the men's and the women's side. You can see they've got a tremendous. I mean, Matt Gardner's an awesome guy. Great social media presence. He knows how to prop up the athletes. They're super competitive. As a matter of fact, the best part of this season has been seeing the parity now that we're witnessing. It's the Wahoo Lacoles, the Saris No Pins, and the next team on the men's side of things. I mean, it actually, in a weird way, just like having Mike Tyson dominating the heavyweight division for 10 years straight, right, makes things a little less exciting. And Hino in the women's side of things, they were so dominant that that question is not ideal, Nathan, when it's like, can Team X ever be beat? By the time you get to that question, your league needs to figure out a way to get a little more parity going because spectators are looking for that fight, the battle, because these are gladiators on bikes out here. Speaking of that, this Rhino team, they are really fun to watch. Sub 14, they are rolling it out here today. They've been a dominant force in this group. I want to give a shout out to Andy Ellis, A. Hodgetts, Eric Kruger, James Broadbent, Jason Humphreys, Jonathan Bishop, Matthew McKeever, and they have an American rhino, Roger Girl.
Yeah, and this is 8 riders strong too. It goes to show what strength in numbers is here for sure. So, especially rolling through those flats as well as the downhill with that they'll be coming up to. I have a feeling that they are going to challenge out here today for the fastest time because of this. As you do see 14 coming through the emus just now from Cryogen, as well as the ATP Racing Nitrogen at 14:16. So, obviously set a crazy fast time. Army Cycling struggling out there today with a 16:05 a little bit, but 8 riders strong, and I'm looking
They only
through
started with 4.
emus with 8. Good call on Army
Army,
Cycling with only 4.
yeah, yeah, but that makes, as we just were talking about with Matt Gardner saying 5. Um, so the team's starting in reverse GC order. Nathan, this is how bad my memory is getting. I need to take Prevagen or whatever that stuff is on late night TV. But the last week's course that we raced on, where was that? I'm trying to remember because these teams qualified based off their time there. If I remember,
We were out on
I feel like we're on.
Yorkshire Reverse.
Yeah,
I
so
believe.
one of the hardest, hilliest courses that you can find.
Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of relief comparatively, although they're gonna be out there.
This
A
is a
little bit
lot more like a
longer.
regular team time trial. Yeah, yeah.
Jumping in with Wrath, and is this actually with Wrath? They have Wrath in their name. I'm looking through for a time here from this Dirt team. Is this going to be the Replicants? No, Dirt Rascals Wrath. I see them. They're 14:22 in
Huh.
7th currently placed, and with a tied actually with TFC Lancaster as we take a look at Wrath. I've actually not seen this team before, unless it's a newer name, but it's Andy Brenner, 70 races for Brenner. Craig Rutherford, Dan Williams is here as well as Enrico Suave. It's going to be a travel call. Circuit Bendar, Stefan Harmon, Sunny Tsang,
What
and
nation
Borjan
is
Akrek.
Rico Suave is from Iceland? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Rico Suave. Isn't that?
Yeah,
I mean,
tax haven or something. Trying to even remember. Rico Suave, was that a real person or was that a name in a
it's a
song?
song. Song. Yeah,
It's a song,
Gerardo.
right?
It's a song. Yeah, it's a song
Right.
from
It wasn't
Gerardo.
exactly my genre. So we are waiting for Vikings Valhalla to come through. They're a monster team. I'm not criticizing the song, Nathan. I'm just saying I don't have extensive experience with it.
I mean, it's been a long time since I heard that song. Oh my
It's
gosh.
been a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's
All right.
okay. That's okay. All right. So let's take a look now. Is this ATP? Because I wanted to shout out Stephanie Clark, Nathan. This is a mixed
Is
category.
Steph out here?
And
Oh, she is.
well,
And she has
yeah,
been a
yeah,
force in the sprints in the ZRL for this team. Good to see.
yeah. Yeah, she's a rider that's really caught my eye. So this is a solid team, and she's a cornerstone on it. Look at her sitting right in the middle of the group, taking the sweet spot here. That's just a savvy rider, and they are on right now. There's a couple of sectors where they're going to be climbing for a bit, and this is Titans Grove now.
Yeah, and as they get into
ATP.
this here, I am seeing Andy Kroll, Brackens is
So
here as well as Jones, and steady ride here from ATP so far. 14
yeah,
16.
fourth
They're in
quickest.
contention, and they could catch Valhalla. I just have a feeling that the Woolly Rhinos are going to walk away with this one and
Yeah,
the latte, and it's going to be a battle here for that kind of 2nd through 5th. It is a long race, though. Things can change over 42 kilometers, right? Like the shorter races, you can
sure.
kind of burn those matches early and just trust in a gap that's been established. Whereas in these races, the team could fade, and those who have a little bit more of an endurance background could jump in those last 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and gain a solid amount. I mean, once you blow up, you can lose a minute real easily, right? Like it could just be, it can all completely fall apart in the back end of a race if the team just runs out of gas. So, if the tank's empty, man, you pull over and got to fill up. So the reality here on longer races is the endurance, the riders who have solid endurance with FTP, they may be able to bring back some time later in this race.
That's a really good point. Completely agree. Talk about bike choice here, Nathan. I would think that aerodynamics would be king over lightweight. What's your thought on that? I mean, so I would go with my slickest bike, not necessarily the Tron today.
100%. I'm on. So I'm racing tonight actually with OTR Hayes, and I will definitely be on the Venge with the DT Swiss wheels for sure. That is
Yeah,
going
so
to be.
slippery greater than, that symbol that the kids use, slippery greater than weight.
Yep, 100%. With that, Gardner coming on through. Thanks for the kind words, guys. Looking forward to the summer. Now, this is an interesting point that in the summer, the top ZRL teams will frequent the TTT each Thursday a lot more because there's just a reality that they're not in their main season. Isn't that interesting, Dave? That this genre of Zwift racing now has its kind
So
of
specialized. Mhm.
that has
And
its
well, it
times
makes
a
sense.
year where people are doing certain things because of how they need to focus. That's pretty phenomenal to me that there's such an ecosystem of racing now that has its own focuses at different times of season within just Swift racing.
Well, it's like boxing, Nathan. You need to keep sparring and keep your skills up. But for these guys, they don't want to make a deep, deep effort on Thursdays every week, knowing that they've got the Premier League racing going on. So I appreciate the fact that they're taking things really seriously and prioritizing the racing. And it's shown. Again, come join us Monday and Tuesday this week. Community racing with WTRL and CRL rolls on through a couple more weeks before we go into the playoffs. And Nathan, this playoffs is going to be bananas. The previous ones have been great. Some of those Velocio next battles, but what we've got happening right now with former World Tour, that's how into it I am. Former Premier League teams that have been relegated, trying to get back into the Premier League. Um, there's a whole bunch of quality teams and riders that are going to put on possibly one of the best races we'll see in esports this year, trying to get into Premier League. And we got World Championships coming up on the 26th.
Yeah, not a lot of, I mean, it's only, what are we? We're 16 days out, Dave, from World
Yeah.
Championship. I can't believe I just said that. Like,
So
biggest
I
day
know.
of the year in esports is coming up real quick here, and we are going to be crowning new world champions. I'm pretty excited to see
I
how that's
can't
going to
wait.
play out because this past year we had Jason Osborne, Eshman and Pasio. They just and amazing this first time through, and now I feel like there's been some experience, depth, as well as the development of the athletes in the esports genre specifically. And there's some athletes in the community I think that have just taken it to a whole nother level. They've gotten Here's the thing. You go into a cage match, right? Or into a boxing match, and your competitors have been really quiet, and you're wondering, where have they been? What have they been doing? And there's some athletes out there that have not been racing as much ZRL Premier Division. They're on Premier Division teams. They're not actually racing the Premier Division. They're not doing as well in the Premier Division. They're fully focused on Worlds, right? Completely focused on getting that World Championship. And I have a feeling that we're going to have one of the biggest all
I
out
feel like
brawls we've ever seen in Zwift racing. And I did there was a training race this past weekend on the climb. It wasn't the full course. It was just doing the climb over and over again. And Next Esports showed up to it, and I could tell the third time up, it was like, this is going to be what it's like, and went bonkers every time over the top. These guys and gals are completely committed, and I am so excited to see how this plays out. And I have a feeling it's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be kind of like lots of different attacks, lots of different tactics going, and then and just bodies everywhere and back and forth kind of racing. Really similar to what we see in a real world championship, actually, on the road.
yeah, Yeah, completely agree. I'd echo all of that. I mean, there's a 14% grade that they're going to be hitting out there. It's going to be racing at its best, that's for sure. Back to the racing that we have right here as we're starting to look at split times coming in. Everybody is through that 10K check. So Vikings move up to the top because they've come through 20K, but the fastest time remains 13:57 for our woolly rhinos. Looks like they're on another great day out here. But Nathan, Cryogen, the emus, it's only 3 seconds back. So we got a real battle. As a matter of fact, you were mentioning earlier in the broadcast how it's all about what you've got in the last 10K out here, what you got to give. So that's far from settled.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's
There's
an
a lot of
understatement.
racing yet to go. We're not even halfway through at this point. There's plenty of racing to go in this latte crew. So excited to see how this ends up playing out between all of these racers. And a lot of them probably watching the broadcast, know that there's plenty of landscape to work with here, everybody, and keep it moving as we look at WLBB latte here at the 14:19. If we look at those time gaps too, over this 42K, this is actually really tight, Dave. 14:32 to 13:17. This is a very competitive latte crew. Army Cycling with only 4 riders makes it a little more difficult on them back in that 16:05. But outside of that outlier there, we're looking at only about 30 seconds between all these times. This is anybody's race really over this 42K.
I would love to run some data and say what is the most competitive group that we race. I think it's these guys right here, the mixed category, I should say. So guys in the general sense, as this latte group. I mean, Nathan, that's what racing is all about. This such close splits means for everyone you just push that much harder out here. That's how you sharpen your edge to be razor sharp. So this is going to be Duffman Norman for the WLBBC4 team.
This is a team
Let me
that
see what I.
came in with a lot of excitement actually to the Platinum League, and I really appreciated the way that
No,
they've reached out, they've been in chat, and just we're super and super excited with just being here. Anytime I see, 39 TTTs is a lot. Patrick Weichert, who's
yeah.
got 39 underneath his belt, it's not up in that 70 to 80, and I think getting into Platinum League and having a representation here put some extra energy into this team too, coming out of Germany and Austria, which is
I,
really great. Go ahead, Dave.
I wonder if Duffman is in reference to the Simpsons and Duff Beer. That's Norman Soika, the rider that we're with right now. Goes by Duffman. Martin Knecht, Jürgen Wagner. So a couple Austrians and a few Germans on this team, as Oliver Grossman. You mentioned Patrick Weichert, and Stefan Sieberer. Some of the riders that we have out here, and let's see how they're doing.
Yeah, the
So yeah, so
newer
14,
rider to
19.
this team would be Jürgen Wager with 6 total, so a little bit newer. The rest of them all in the double digits actually when it comes to team time trials. And actually 6 though, once you get a few of these under your belt, you're like, okay, I kind of got the routine here, but a little bit newer to the
Steep
world of the
learning
new teams,
curve,
right?
very
Yeah.
steep. I would even say after the first 2, you've learned probably 75% of what you're going to need to know.
Yeah, and then after that, it's really game mechanics and like how are you interacting with the avatars. And that one though, like
Well,
that's kind of like marginal gains in cycling, right? Like you get to a certain point of what your genetic ability and talent to very quickly get, that might take you a year, whatever it might be in training, and then it's the marginal gains you start trying to get afterwards. And
oh,
those are
it's like
very, very
playing.
tiny.
Totally. It's like playing guitar, Nathan. It's really easy to learn how to play Knocking on Heaven's Door. You can learn that in an afternoon. But to learn how to play Stairway to Heaven, that's a lifetime of effort, right? And it's the same thing out here. We got a catch being made
Yeah, and
right
this
now.
was
Is this
the
going to be
fastest
Valhalla?
team on the day, actually. Well, the fastest team coming in, Vikings Valhalla. They were the last ones to go out, and they actually had a 14:06,
They're
which
picking it up.
that
Yeah.
may be what's going
This is
on here. That the second half, you think here? Is that a prediction
They're
here a little
only
bit?
9 seconds. They're only 9 seconds behind the fastest time. So they were extremely close, and it looks like they experienced, Nathan. I think that their schedule that they set had them not going out incredibly hard, just leaving some coal to throw on the fire and build up a lot of momentum for the finish. So we're right at that, coming up on the first lap being completed out here, and they're picking up some of the riders out of ATP as well. As yeah, they've just are full guns a blazing right now for the Vikings.
Good to see. Good to see here. Well, that is the situation for the lattes. We'll come back for results in a little bit as we went through each one of the teams here in the lattes. The women are just jumping out on course for the Viennas. We will jump in
Same
with them in
setup
just
here.
exactly same
Yeah, they'll be
thing.
on the same course. Yep.
We will jump in with them in just a few here. We do want to head on over to the Frappes though, as we do have a featured team in the Frappes, and also get an idea of how things are
You
playing
know,
out there.
while you're doing that, Nathan, something that I missed that I only remember us doing one or two times before was doing a time trial start where you turn off the draft. Well, I guess that was only individual riders, not teams. So that would be a whole other factor to have to work into writing the code for it. But if you had all of the teams starting together at the same time, but they couldn't draft each other, but they could see in real time how they were doing against each other, wouldn't that be interesting? Try that once.
So,
So we've done time
in
trials where
game,
you can't draft off other riders, but it's a mass start. Everyone starts together,
yep.
but
So
they're
then make
doing
it
an
so that the
individual time
teams
trial.
can only draft on themselves, like on the team, the whole
Yes,
team itself, and then
correct.
gotcha. But then
So
they,
the
they
team,
all start together though. Is that what you're saying?
yes. So
Gotcha.
you
So
could
then they
see
kind of
like
see.
they would pace off of each other then, obviously, and have in real moment splits. It would create a whole new dynamic. That's for sure.
Let's see. It
I mean,
would
you could see
definitely.
the team that you were chasing, right? Do you remember we did an individual time trial like that? Um, I can't remember the event though.
Probably,
Individual.
we were probably on there's only two TT courses, I believe, that you can jump on. It's on the Tempest Fugit, and then also on
I think it was
the
Tempest Fugit actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the climb in Italy that you can do as well. So those are the only two places really where that is even a feature in game. In with the jumping on over to the Blackbirds, it looks like perhaps though Luke off the back here in his first ever TTT. This is one of the riders here
Getting one
from
lap. One
getting
lap in.
one lap and letting it. He might actually be logging on. Come on, Luke, finish it up, buddy. We got this. Keep her pedaling. Let's go. Luke ends up saying enough is enough. We'll jump on in with the rest of his team though, as I appreciate him helping us get on over there. This is the Blackbirds with Down and Dirty. We're back in with the Frappes here. In with the Frappes as they are making their way out on course or around course for their second lap. Dirt Time Chaser Zeta is currently with a 26.50 in the Frappes. There's ZR Scott Kelpie's 26.57. Only a 7-second difference. It looks like about 15 seconds back to the Adam Racing
Well,
Team Atomic, Garage Pain Chasers, Virtus Slow. And this is the Blackbirds with the 27.24 right now. First time for them in Platinum League.
yeah, it's funny. We were talking about the Crocodile Trophy with Kate on the WTRL ZRL broadcast for America's West, and it comes up again because Chris Van de Put here. We were with Chris just a second ago. I see we switched over to Reggie, but Chris is a Belgian on this team who's gone down and done that event in
Really?
his life. Yeah, super cool. He's
That's
a dad.
awesome.
He's got two kids, but his wife, so they love them some Zwift in the Van de Put house, as his wife is an avid Zwifter as well. Yeah, and he's a Belgian. He's been out there riding on the Flanders course. He was born in Oudenaarde, the city where the finish of Flanders is located. So he's been eating cobblestones. His kids eat cobblestones for breakfast, actually.
So this guy's been to Australia and in his Arizona racing his bike.
He's
That's crazy. And he's from Belgium. Like
typical
this guy's
European.
he's
They like to
world
travel.
travel, man. Holy cow.
They like to travel for sure. I did want to shout out Luke. Maybe Luke had an internet connection problem because he doesn't live anywhere. He's a man of the world. He's a bon vivant. Luke is definitely someone who loves riding, does centuries, runs ultra marathons. But part of the reason we have him with us here is because he injured his knee. So it's definitely one of these things that time crunched people will push really hard, and sometimes something like that will happen. He also, Nathan, owns a restaurant. So I'd like to know his thoughts on not pepperoni. I have no thoughts on
Pineapple on
pepperoni, but
pizza.
pineapple, right?
Yeah, come here,
Um,
bud. We need to know this, Chris. Like, we need to,
is this
we need to
Jeff
know.
Willis that you're in with? Goes by Reggie? It is. It
Maybe, yeah.
is. He's coached by, get this, Nathan, Ashton Lambie.
Wow.
Um, I just got a chance. Ashton Lambie could easily be my favorite human being on planet Earth. What? So the world record holder, the world champion in the individual pursuit. The man is a lifestyle, and Ashton is a coach as well. And I think that's really cool, Jeff. You couldn't have found someone cooler to work with. So he does a lot on ZRL and Zwift. Started racing all the way back in 1984. And it keeps his dream alive, man. I absolutely love that. And getting to work with Ashton certainly would keep you motivated. That's for sure. So, good way to not crash out there. I see that he's had some tough ones, Nathan. So, one way to avoid crashing, unless who was the rider that flopped off of their Zwift? It's happened. So, don't be that guy, Reggie.
Well, Christina
Jeff.
Grossman took her bike straight
Grossman.
almost into
Yep,
her,
that's what I'm thinking of.
almost straight through her
She
computer
flipped
screen,
over.
actually. I don't
Yeah.
know if she flipped over. Her bike came off. Who flipped over? I didn't know somebody flipped over. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh, I definitely want to give a shout out also to, we were on, who was it? I think it was Chris. Was it Chris or was it Luke? One of these riders, their wife actually got the setup for Zwift for them
Oh, it
after
might be
a
Chris
crash. It
because
was
his
actually
wife.
Chris. It was ordered
Yeah.
Zwift after a race crash. What, that's pretty cool. Um,
Just like
then
Matthew Heyman, who wins Paris-Roubaix after training on Zwift exclusively for 3 months,
yeah, I mean
right?
Chris is Matthew Heyman now. I mean that's
Yeah,
essentially what's happening here. Like
I like
48
this team. So
races,
again,
48 races for Chris now though. Like talk about being like going from
are
crashing
these the
and then jumping into Zwift racing, and now with this many, talk about a commitment then that comes out of the excitement around this. Pretty cool to see.
these guys have been racing in ZRL for a while too, the Blackbirds. Um, do you mind? Oh no, you did. You read my mind, Nathan. This is Paul Robertson that we're in with. So I am no world traveler, but I have been to Yorkshire and I had the best time there. It was so fun. So he's from Wales, really, but pretends to be a proud Yorkshireman. So he's a man after my own heart, to tell you the truth. Rides his bike a lot. He's a commuter cyclist. Bicycle's part of a lifestyle, that's for sure. Discovered Zwift right before the COVID lockdown, and then, like many of us, really, really embraced it. Do you know what the steepest road in England is, Nathan?
I've been told this multiple times, and
I know
I
it's
don't
come up.
remember. Yeah, it has come
Rosedale
up.
Chimney, Rosedale Chimney Bank. So he has ridden up that without stopping, which is like riding up. So I said it in worlds. There's a 14% grade. It's like riding up much worse than that. It's like riding up a 20% grade, more than that, even 22. As steep as you can get. If you had the road any steeper, you couldn't park a car on it because even the rain would lubricate the road enough that the cars would start sliding down because of gravity. So the friction cohesive has to be strong enough to hold the weight of the car on the road.
Oh my god.
That's a good physics project for a kid in elementary school.
Speaking of kids, his kids Zwift too. Good to hear. Katie and Matthew
Paul's
both are out
kids?
on Zwift. Yeah, it looks like, so that's awesome. And podium at nationals U12. Cool to hear. A Welsh junior table tennis champion back in the day as well for Paul Robertson. So very competitive as well as throughout the
Pretty
whole
cool
family.
claim
It
to
sounds
fame.
like, yeah.
It's hard to fact check that too, isn't it? I'm just going to take him at his word.
Manuel Heitländer here. He's German. Uh, what is likely an Armenian and Swabian tribe member, but now living in what was Prussia when the idea of nation came up. Uh, got some history buff going on here. Just started racing ZRL and TTT.
So, do you even understand what you just said? Because I'm going to have to do some research. I get what you're talking about, but I don't even really know what
A
Swabian
little
or
bit, a
Albanian.
little bit. I was.
So,
I
is it
mean,
at
in college, I
parts
took
of
quite a
Germany,
bit of. Actually,
Germanic
that
tribes,
yeah. So what's
Germanic
interesting
tribes?
is I'm not gonna go there, but I wrote
Yeah, we don't
papers
need
on
to.
some
You
of
know what?
this
This
stuff
gets
actually.
embarrassing for us.
But
This
I
gets
mean,
embarrassing for us, to
light
be honest
enough
with
that I got away with, I think, an A minus B plus on this on European history. But I'm not gonna go there. We're gonna leave that alone.
you. We're going to
Um,
spare everybody that, I think. Or not
so
you, Nathan. I'm even saying me. I'm going to spare you me on that. But anyways, we're talking about Emmanuel.
yeah, and he's actually a European football soccer player. It sounds
He's a
like when
dad.
he was younger, runner since he was about 30. It sounds like since he was and then has done some marathons actually. It gives us a best
Uh,
time of a 2:36 and a 10K at 3:11. Does high
he's guess
volume
what?
racing.
Guess what? He's a nerd.
But why do we say that? Where is
Assistant
this at?
professor biologist. So
Well,
he's a
that's
total
why he's
brainiac.
telling us about the history of of
Yes.
Prussia, Russia, and
Yes.
Germany. Gotcha. He's also a chess guy,
This is one
online
smart
chess.
individual.
He's
Yep.
1,000 elo. What? This guy is. I mean, when you talk about competitive
So cool.
ranking, that is some
Uh-huh.
serious competitive ranking at the chess level. You don't want to. This guy should be writing the strategies for
Yeah, yeah.
all of the dirt team. It
Very
sounds
interesting.
like.
What an interesting life. So, you know the term a Renaissance man, Nathan? You know, someone who does a lot, like knows how to play guitar and knows how to make furniture and could, raise a barn and at the same time play the violin. It sounds like Emmanuel is that kind of person for sure. A lot of different interests, extremely smart, um, and exactly why Zwift has the best demographic in the world. I mean, these are the people that we get to meet. I mean, can you imagine having dinner with Emmanuel and his family? How fascinating that conversation would be. What would we even talk about? He raced with Udo Boltz as well. Udo Boltz is a name, if you've been a long time fan of pro cycling, was from that telecom era with Jan Ulrich stuff. This is Tim. Boy, these guys did a great job of getting us up to speed, didn't they? I love when teams do this, Nathan. Getting to know the dirt chasers today.
Is Tim Elliott looking through here and
He's British.
done a couple of Ironmans. Yep, British right here, and he's he said he
I
got
didn't mean to
he
sound
did the Iron
disappointed,
Man.
but
He did, he does done an Iron Man. He says he got an appalling tattoo afterwards. Proud of the Iron Man race is
heck
definitely.
yeah.
Oh my god, he's hilarious. I'm gonna leave that one alone. There's a lot of Iron Man tattoos out there that people might be proud of. So, when he was 20, he was pretty close to being able to do both sub 3 hour marathon run and sub 3 hour marathon swim. These guys are crazy. Like this kind of like endurance athlete stuff, man. Whew. I've always been just a
He's
puncher.
also he also caught some breaks in life. Apparently, as his wife is not only super attractive, but she's a doctor. So way out of his league. He's acknowledging that. So you know what? It's sometimes it's got to be lucky and good out there. And it sounds like a sense of humor is a big part of their family. And I think that's awesome. He's got 3 kids, Lucy, Fraser, and Rory. And at this point now, he's still able to just just hold them off. It won't be long until Lucy's dropping dad like a bad habit.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot to the Dirt
He knows that too. He
Blackbirds. These
knows that
guys are
Lucy's going to
awesome.
crush him. So yeah,
40-56 currently. They're gonna have to step it up in the back half of this race here as they're 35K in. They're good, almost about to finish their second and last lap. 16
they're
seconds
over the
off of
tough
Bertha
part.
Slow. First time into
Yeah,
Frappe, I think they're getting a little bit of a taste of what it is in the Platinum League as they qualified for it. So good on these guys and huge appreciated to them in providing all the info that they did for their background here. They are
also
being
want to
chased by
shout out.
GPC. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to make sure that we mentioned everybody as they went to the effort. But Simon Bond, is Simon out there today? We're in
Looking
with
around, it
GPC. I'm
was
sorry. We changed teams. No worries. No worries. Let me just give them a quick shout out. Simon, good job out there. Simon, also British, and is in an orchestra. Nathan, I don't know what he plays, but I'm very curious, Simon. And Tristan Haradine is part of the team as well. 100% Aussie, mate, is what he says. That says it all. We love our Australian friends. You know what my calling card is? I go, hey, I know Kate Bates. And everyone says, oh, he must be cool. He's also a dad, 2 kids. Tristan, it's great to have you out here with us. And I think that was everybody. We got Jeff, Emmanuel, Tim, Luke, Chris, Paul, Simon, and Tristan. Guys, thanks a lot for checking in with us this week here on WTRL's Meet the Team segment.
Garage
See, I
Pain
named the segment
Chasers.
for us.
Yeah, it's a great segment. We need that. That's exactly what it is. We need a graphic for that. Meet the team. And then we even pull up some of this information.
Yeah,
That's what needs to be
yeah.
happening there. Lars Fisher
We're always trying to make this
Rasmussen,
broadcast better.
Thomas Miner Jensen there. Those are the 2 newbies on the team here for the Garage Pain Chasers. Welcome, as they got 2 and 4 TTTs underneath their belt. And GPC currently holding down the 4th place with a 40-35. We'll see what they can pull off by the end here as we get to the results. Art Atomic are here, and they were in 3rd at the last time check, just holding off the Pain Chasers by 1 second. I wonder if the Pain Chasers, though, it's still tight. As you can see, that 2-minute gap between them, and I think that 2-minute gap is what they had to start with. They have not budged between each other throughout the entirety of this 42 kilometers. This is going to be right to the line, I think, between GPC and ART. Pretty cool to see that they're going for that last podium spot.
Yeah, absolute slugfest. And leave it up to these teams. They really are gladiators, no doubt. ART brings their monster squad today. Darren Westmoreland, David Watt, Jim Beatty, Jonathan Dowson, and Paul Rodriguez. Did they start with 5? Am I reading that correctly?
Let's
Talking
see
about
here.
ART,
I think they started
or
with
am I
8.
missing someone?
They started with
They
8 because there
started
were a
with
few
8.
more. Paul
Let me dig a little
Dominguez
deeper.
is here as well. Jamie
Oh,
McCarthy is here as well, and a few
good. Thank
others.
you for catching that,
And actually, Jim
Nathan. I want to
Beatty
make
with
sure.
only one other team time trial. So this is Jim Beatty's 2nd time trial. The guy we're looking at here right now as he jumps up and out of the saddle with a nice little kick to try and get some speed downhill.
I think so. We've talked a lot about the technique here, and it is just keep coming over the top. Avalanche style is really what we've called it, or snowballing down. And Beatty's doing a good job of playing a role out here, the Scottish rider.
Yeah,
I
also
don't think they do
welcome
too
to
much better than what.
Jonathan Dowson as well. Dowson, as he comes through with a little bit, as you see the different kit that he
There
does
he is,
have on here. Got a TDZ kit, I
moving
believe.
right to the front.
Yeah, and he's got 3 other TTTs, so he's also a newcomer. So welcome to the team.
I think these guys got your memo, Nathan. They really seem to be doing exactly what you'd like to see, which is when you've got the momentum, take it through to the front, and then just let another rider roll through.
It's a lot of time that can be made up actually doing exactly that. So we'll see what they can pull off against DPC.
Descents do not mean rest and recover if you're a top team. This is where you can just carve out another seconds, but this is why it's such a huge effort. As Nathan was saying, this hour of racing, thereabouts, you're going to see a lot of guys putting up their best ever FTP number. And it's a full hour, a real FTP, not some discount parking lot 20-minute version.
Jumping in with one of the faster teams out here with the 40-19 at the 30K mark here. This can be ZR Scott Calpies. And I want to give a shout out to Gordon Hutchinson on his 5th TTT out there today. And they currently are, man, the Dirt Time Chasers, Zetas, though, are just kind of walking away today. They are not even on the same minute at this point, I would think. So great job on them. Zverta slow here as
Well,
well on the downhill. And this is that Slovenian team.
Virtue Slow here in green. I see the ZR Scott Kelpies at 18 seconds back at 30K in our Frappes here. 33 seconds back to Atomic that we were just with, the mighty ART team, Garage Pain Chasers at 40.35. 5 seconds further back at 40.40 is Virtue Slow, who we're with. But here's a good question, Nathan. Do you press on with? Do you wait? I don't think so. Absolutely not. Actually,
No, it's up to
as
Brust at this point to get back on. Like, you just go.
Yeah.
I mean, Volk is going to press at 4.5, and Brust has to just jump on the uphill or just say goodbye. I think he's got the power for it.
Looks like he's getting right back in. So there you go.
Yeah.
Made it easy for us. But you're right, Nathan. You don't wait at that point, especially when you still
Look
have
at the
5 and you're
Trons.
only.
Look at the Trons chasing behind here. The Zetas are coming on flying here at this point. As
So yeah, they're making up a full minute out here, aren't they?
really solid effort here from the Dirt Time Chasers Zetas now as we get into the last half of their race, and
So,
scary little team
they're
here
20.
coming through. 107 races for Tiago Barrera. This was one of our featured teams. I think we featured them either last week. I think it was last week, actually. I'm not incorrect, or at least Tiago was featured. As I think he races like 3 team time trials a day or something like that. This is one of those riders who
add up fast. Yeah.
Yeah, real quickly as they make their way
Amazing.
through. Good pass here from the Zetas on their
Nice
awesome
and clean,
Trons.
both sides, understanding exactly how that works. So well done to all of our racers. Classy pass there. So they were 20 seconds behind, they were 40 seconds quicker at the split. They made up 20 more seconds in 7K, Nathan, at that point. So you can see how strong they are in the back half of this race.
Yeah, and this I think is going to start telling. I mean, we could talk about that story a little bit, right? Is like who ended up with the negative splits really, and how that ended up playing out on the day. Because I think that's going to, if you look at the fastest times up front, ZR Scott Kelpies had a 13:14 at the top of that leaderboard. Obviously, the fastest team, as well as Garage Pain Chasers, had a 13:19. But now the Zetas on the back end of the course with a 40:01 at the top brought back solid amount of time. As we said, 30 seconds could be made up pretty easily in the back end of this course, and that's exactly what these Dirt Time Chasers did.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things you go out too hard, as Nathan noted, you really pay a price once push comes to shove out here. This is Dirt Zetas that were in with the fastest team out on course, 18-second advantage. It's going to be quite a race, though, as the Kelpies looked like they were definitely motivated to put together a tremendous ride here, and we are down to the final distance today, just under 43K. Call it 42.8, I believe. We'll get a look at that as teams are going to start coming through that finish line arch here as they come back into the extremely flat sector in just a moment.
So I am seeing a question coming through from Spencer KM. Do you think avalanche style is better than typical rotation where on downhills? Definitely. You stop rotation. It's a waste of energy, in my opinion, to do a rotation on the front for 30 to 60 seconds. Stop your rotation.
It's also almost
completely.
impossible to do.
Yeah, the kind of wattage you have to do on the front in order to even hold on to the front. And there's a lot of confusion, I think, that's created by this within a team, because the communication from the avatars that's coming back at you is that that you should stop pulling, essentially, is what ends up happening. You end up with this communication where your avatar is being overtaken by the rest of your team, and then you're like, well, should I keep on doing this, or what am I? And then you just feel like you're wasting energy because when you're being overtaken, you're no longer pulling your team. So it's like, why are you taking a pull right now? You're not even taking a pull. So it's actually a point like you can hear my frustration, honestly, because it literally makes no sense that people continue to pull their pull. And what that is, and I'm just going to call it out. It's a lack of understanding of the situation and somebody just taking the reins and saying, this isn't working. Do something different right now instead of just sticking to the plan. And so the plan was set up front that, and if you stay really rigid with it and you don't adapt to the course of what's currently happening out on course to create that avalanche, to create the roll through of each and every avatar on the fly, right? Somebody who doesn't like things happening on the fly is probably not going to like these sections of the course. It's like, no, it's supposed to be this, it's supposed to be that. Well, what you need to do is avalanche through each avatar that has, or the person that has the ability to throw down some orange numbers. Right here, the person most likely at the back or is rested up a little bit will be able to just jump through. And then, as we look at the vixens here, and then as you see that avatar coming through in the super tuck, the person who's at the back, your turn, your turn, your turn. Then once you hit a flat again, reset, right? And on a course like this where you get a lot of undulation, you get this downhill, uphill, you might actually have to reset all the way through Titan's Grove on the back end of it. You actually may have to continually have, well, I'll take a pull up the climb. Now let's do the downhill and avalanche through. And it might have to be a lot of, well, here, what makes sense at that exact moment. And that's why a DS is so incredibly important to tell people to do exactly what needs to happen in a split second. Because those seconds can be lost so quickly on these downhill sections. Honestly, watching teams waste that kind of effort, or even my teammates, sometimes during those 30 to 60 second pulls on downhills, I just kind of like need to bite my lip and my tongue and be like, okay, I'm just going to shut up and not be critical right now. But definitely better, as you hear my strong opinion coming through, Spencer, and I appreciate the question for sure.
That answer stressed me out.
I could feel the stress coming through.
I don't want to be involved in any team that doesn't have a director that we all agree to listen to. When it becomes chaos theory in a team time trial, count me out.
Yeah, I mean, right, like, well, and
You know what I'm
that's the thing
saying?
is, like,
I mean, it just isn't
sometimes I
anything I
wonder.
want.
Sometimes I wonder if it's like, let's just keep the peace and be quiet, and so nobody says anything about what's happening in front of us. You know, like right now, this is not
It sounds like
obviously
some of the
working.
Zoom. Sounds like some of the Zoom calls I'm on.
Let's just not. Let's just not talk about what's happening. Obviously,
Right.
this person is wasting all of their effort on the front right now, or in the middle of the pack at
That
5 watts
just
per
like
kilogram, and we'll just let them do that because it feels better that way.
sometimes you can be right and still be wrong to say something. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, so be it.
Well,
So,
that's
anyways, this
just
team
people's
is not.
feelings. Now you want to get into that one. I don't know if you're wrong
No, I don't.
necessarily.
I
Just
don't
somebody's
want to get into
feelings might
that.
be hurt.
So this is S. Kirk that we're with. So we're jumping in with the women now, as most of the guys, or even all of the guys, as I took off my watch. But yeah, the men have been racing since for an hour and 6 minutes now. So most of the teams will be done. Not everybody. We'll still have some mochas out there. But for the women now, they're just completing lap one. Why don't I hit a reset button here, Nathan, really quickly, as we'll certainly have plenty of folks joining us here for our Vienna class. This is something that WTRL introduced quite a while ago, which is exclusive categories for women, not just one, all the women lumped into one group, but having different levels. And this has been greatly appreciated by the community. So thank you, WTRL. The Vienna lattes, the Viennas, Vienna espresso, and Vienna frappes make up this group. This is Vienna lattes that we're with right now, and the HTC Vixens. They're out on the same course. It's 42.8K, something very
Coming over
close
to
to that. Just
Graveyard
under.
real quick, just to make sure we go across from bottom to top here, just as a heads up.
Cool jersey for
first team
Graveyard,
out.
huh?
Well, they just put this in game in the last month here, so
Very sharp.
brand new team kit. It actually got announced and put in game at our RaveCon actually that I was leading. So that was great. A lot of fun. And the Raveyard smashing it, it looks like here. It looks like this is a mix today, though. Raveyard and Rave Against the Machine have joined
They've
forces, I think.
merged.
Yeah, for
Do you
Vienna Latte.
know, Nathan? I know they have guests leading the rides. Sherpa Dave has, you have. Um,
Tepio this
I'm
past weekend.
wondering,
Tepi was the leader this
Tep,
past weekend.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, what a star. They're getting great leaders. How many women are involved, if you had to guess, in the rave program now? It's really grown, hasn't it?
That's a lot.
Is
I
it
might be able
into
to
that
get
couple
you.
hundred? Is it more or an Aeonian-sized movement at this point? I mean, I
I'm
don't even know for
gonna.
Aeonian, to tell you the truth. I know they're big. It's got to be more than 100 women.
There's probably
Um,
somebody in chat from Rave that's gonna chime in on this.
yeah,
I
just
wouldn't be
get me up to
surprised.
speed. I'm curious.
Yes.
There's some really neat women involved with this program. They're very welcoming. They've got a tremendous vibe.
I would assume. I mean, it's got to be in the hundreds, though, for sure, with how many teams that are out here. I
I
wouldn't
was
be
going to say,
surprised one bit.
my guess is going to be around 150, but we'll find out. They certainly look good right now, making their way through lap number 1.
And let's go ahead and see what's the time currently for the Rave team. The Rave Against the Machine with the 31:45. They had a 15:22 at the 10K mark there. 15:10, 15:15. Crush Pod and Galaxy Supernova Velocity. Looks like we're challenging them. So that's going to be the situation currently as they finish up their lap number 1. ZR Scott are looking to try and chase them down, but that's not happening. They're actually only distancing, it looks like, as Rave Against the Machine are getting a little bit of a gap on them as ZR Scott Alba, 16-17 currently at the 10K, but they may be able to rally a little bit here. They started with 8, so they're going to have a lot of extra firepower to work with in the back end of this course. We'll see if they can ramp things up and chase down WTRL What's Up C and TFC Storm, who are out there as well, right around the same time. But this is going to be the Vixens that we were talking about earlier. This is that Hertford Triathlon Club Vixens 15:45, right up against Adam Racing Team Electrons. We did see some chat coming on through from Mike Perry as well as Conrad Lawson cheering this team on. They've got a couple of fans out there, as this is looks to me all coming out of the UK, if I'm not incorrect. And let's see if we can get a good look here at who is actually all on this team for the Vienna Lattes. And it is going to be Allison Fryer Jones, Claire Jackson, Emma Murphy here, Janet Harris here, Kelly Rose, Liz Davies Ward, Sue Bissell, and Sue Kirk. Bissell with 11, as well as Claire Jackson on this team. They're the little bit of a newcomers. The longest standing TTT rider here would be Kelly Rose on the Hertford Triathlon Club. They're about to make the catch, actually, for the team that went out ahead of them. That is the ZR Scott Alba team. And let's see if I can get a good idea of Kelly Rose, level 33. She has a Pingu. I'm loving this. We've watched plenty of Pingu in this household, that's for sure. And so loving it that she's got Pingu on her Zwift Power profile as her picture. I wonder if that's also her in-game picture as well for Zwift. Be kind of cool if it was. As 94 races, been doing the TTT for quite a while. Going back to last year, right around this time, I think was the first time she jumped into a team time trial. Actually, she started doing the Platinum League though within a month of jumping into the team time trial. So she has been extremely committed to the Platinum League in this time zone with this trial. Now I'm wondering if that was with the same team though, or if
I
she's
was
kind of
just
moved around
thinking the
teams a
same
little
thing.
bit. Yeah, or if this is I mean she's the most experienced amongst them. Let's see if I can get an idea
A,
of where she stands amongst them here.
a lot of time, the connection you have with the team, Nathan, is the thing that keeps you coming back week after week for these athletes.
It was the same
Um,
team. It wasn't the exact,
yeah,
so it wasn't
probably it morphs
the
a little.
Vixens. It was Strong. They were named Strong at that time, not the Vixens. It looks like, or maybe I'll have to double check here. There's actually a lot of HTC teams. I'm seeing Bow, Strong, Y, Vixens. Hertzfoot Triathlon Club is
They
a
are impressive.
big club,
Agreed.
actually.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when you hear that as an American not familiar with Hereford, one, I'm going to do my research and look into it because clearly there is something going on there with just tremendous participation, and a lot of the triathlon club riders race with us here on Zwift and particularly in WTRL. So always nice to see them out there. Sounds like an awesome group of folks, and this is going to be the Vixens. That was a really cool shot, Nathan, that you had, that you were producing there a moment ago. Just all of these women out here racing their hearts out right now, and this one's going back and forth, isn't it? I think we're seeing a team repassing here now.
Yeah, this is getting interesting between ZR Scott, Elba, and the Vixens. Probably frustration as ZR Scott were being overtaken, and now they start to ramp it up a little bit. I mean, the Vixens need to make the pass strong and then hold it at the same time. I mean, if Alba were looking to try a negative split here, and they just want to try and push on, so this is an interesting situation. I would love to hear from WTRL and what their thoughts are on it. I do see Jenny Ravo coming on in and letting us know that over 200 ravers for our question earlier,
Wow,
and
nice.
she does. Your kits do look
So,
fab.
Nathan, just really quickly, this is one of the bigger challenges that you have when you're trying to create fair racing because your point is valid. If a team had been saving something for the back half of the race and they have a team that has been, in a weird way, I can really understand both sides of view here, and there's not a right or wrong. Um, and sometimes, I guess, if you can follow what I'm saying, sometimes it is what it is. And so the team, so HTC Vixens was the team that made the first catch and pass, and they've been repassed, and now it's just a complete mix of riders out there. But when you've got that carrot dangling out in front of a team, they'll go a little bit harder, right? But then once they make that catch, they're a little bit blown. And the team that have been saving themselves for later in the race, maybe they lift the pace, and there's going to be a little bit of pride and a little bit of a. I mean, let's face it. Either when you're getting past or passing, there's an adrenaline spike that happens. It's inevitable that you're going to feel that in your central nervous system. So it's just a tough situation, and it's not yeah, nothing to. It's no capital crime happening. Looks like we're getting
No,
good
I think there was
separation
a
now.
little bit of. I think that Vixens may have slowed down a little bit trying to get reorganized. Like it was like, oh no, I'm dropped, and they didn't want to drop a couple of riders who were trying to get through the Albas, perhaps, and then a little bit of a struggle. You wait up a little bit. Well, and now you can
Gets a
see
little
Jackson
messy.
goes to the
Yeah.
front at 4.3. Obviously, they had the power, they had the speed to come through. I have a feeling that it had more to do with trying to keep their team together. And then the Albas caught back up because I saw some communication in game. Like Albas were like, we kept the same speed. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You slowed down. So
Interesting.
now
Yeah.
they both had their points. It looks like where the Vixens were probably like, hey, we're trying to race our race over here, and we need to keep our team together. We passed you, back off. It gets that tension point gets tough, right? Like
It
what you
does.
want,
I understand. I understand. I get both sides, to tell you the truth.
100%.
There's that old saying, Nathan. It doesn't quite apply here, but the truth falls somewhere in the middle, or the actual, what you're looking for falls somewhere in the middle. You've got both stories and then
Yeah, they're
truth.
both just
So,
put. I mean, the truth is, when a cyclist gets hit sometimes, the reality is that we
ah,
should have had better roads, and both were in a really bad spot. We're put in a tough situation.
agreed.
Like
So you could say,
I'm not
oh,
saying
wait,
motorists are out of fault or anything. There's definitely a fault with a thousands and thousands of pounds, vehicle, and you're just pressing a pedal down. I'm definitely, I'm, as a cyclist who's been in dangerous situations. At the same time, they're putting in a tough spot here, and the truth is they're
Well,
both trying to make the best out of that situation. Hopefully.
and so there's all these things too to look at the balancing act because you could say, well, if you start the teams 5 minutes apart from each other, they won't catch each other. And it's like absolutely, and this broadcast would go until 5 o'clock at night. I mean, it would take forever to run that many teams. So having that 1 minute gap between starters, and sometimes it's even 30 seconds, yeah, you get more passing out there. But one thing that we'd started doing in the ZRL team time trials that I really liked was starting the fastest teams first. I like that. You have a lot less catching and passing when you do it that way. A
That's a good point.
lot less. Uh-huh.
Good point. Good point.
And it
TFC
eliminates
Storm.
one of the biggest problems that we have. The reason why they do it the other way is because that's how they've done it forever in standard in real life racing. We're not standard in real life racing. Let's make adjustments and changes that make it better for us. And one of the problems that we have in team time trial is when teams catch each other. Way to avoid that, start fastest teams first.
Yeah, it's see if
Thank you.
I
I'm
wonder what I
solving all
wonder
the
if
world's
ZR I
problems.
wonder if ZR I wonder what the feedback was out of ZRL and how that ended up playing out for everybody.
I
Um
think everyone loved it. You know how you know it was good? There was no feedback that meant things went fine, I think.
yeah, maybe. I mean, there's also I think the other side of that one, so we can get into that's administration, but the other side of that one is the teams who are on a shorter time schedule, right? Like that are going to take longer can need to go first because they're going to get done. I don't know if that's that much time though. That would be the only other argument there when it comes to time schedules. But Lloyd here, TFC Storm now, 32-44. They are currently in eighth place, battling it with that ZR Scott Alba that we were just with back
Do they
in
still
the.
host? Is there still a Friday criterium that goes
That's a
on
great
every Friday?
question because we used to cover that way back in the day. I was actually just I'm doing a podcast tomorrow with a new esports podcast that's
Oh,
coming
cool.
out, and it came up because we were writing the history a little bit of Zwift racing stuff and involvement there, and it was crazy that I went back to read some of the things that were written about this, and TFC came up as one of the first things that were ever being covered. It was the
Really?
ZTR races, the KISS races, and TFC. And the Friday Criterium was one of the first things that we ever covered for D and C category level racing. Actually, now they have Monday Madness, which is so TFC kind of like bookend the week a little bit. They've got the TFC and then the Friday Criterium and then the Monday Madness. I'm not sure if the Friday Criterium is still smashing or if they are hanging out mainly on Mondays now because I think a lot of focus has gone into those Monday races actually for the community side of things.
It's amazing how far e-racing has come in such a short amount of time. And it also is a real testament to this organization, TFC, that they're still here and alive and well. Um, so they're going to be heading out. They're out on lap number 2 here for the 43K of racing. We're getting some more splits coming in, and it looks like 30:49 for Galaxy Supernova Velocity is the fastest time there at 20K, close to the midpoint of the race there. Crush Pod 2, 31:21. Vikings Iden with the 31:41, so they're 20 seconds shy of the pace being set by Crush Pod 2, Rave Against the Machine. Out there with a 31:45, just 4 seconds behind the Vikings. That's going to be really close. 31:57 for WTRL Watts UPC. Hereford Triathlon Club, the Vixens, 32:05. So they're in the hunt right now. Adam Racing Team Electrons with the 32:27 at 20K. CFC Storm, the yellow jerseys of Storm, we saw a moment ago, 32:44, and then at 32:47 for ZR Scott Alba. We'll see what socks for Watts. Oh, I don't think they took the start. Actually, it looks like they might have scratched today. So these are the 9 teams that we've got in Vienna Latte, and everyone should be out on lap number 2 now.
Looks like they are in the lattes. Gillian Orr, welcome to the world of TTTs for Jillian. Racing for the Atom Racing Team Electron. This is going to be her 4th team time trial. She's level 24 Zwifter. And as we're looking through, it looks like, though, she's been around for quite a while. Just wasn't into the racing scene and just recently jumping into. Yeah, actually, she hasn't been doing, it looks like, her first TTT uh, pretty recently. I think she's done a few of them here, but definitely very new to the world of team time trialing here. So good to see this new addition to
Yeah.
the Art Electrons. Shout out to
Yeah,
Jillian.
this team has a Japanese rider, Yumi, racing with them, talking about ART electrons. You mentioned Jillian, Karen Watson, Kat Tompkinson, Rachel Tompkins, and Sarah Sade making. And I think Sarah's a guest joining the electrons from the protons. I hope that is going okay. Neutrons, electrons, protons. You never know how they're going to mix.
Yeah. As level 45 is with her here for Yumi. And she's got a goat. She's the goat, it looks like. Maybe a climber. Next to her is with power profile. Is very experienced Swifter at level 45. I'm seeing 6 pages of
Wow.
racing, but that's only in the last year. Wow. Talk about really jumping
get into something.
Yeah, getting really into it. Very cool to see here from Yumi. As we're going to swap teams over to the Vikings. Lots of Viking teams out here. This Norwegian team, man, talk about commitment to Zwift racing. You can't jump into a Zwift race at almost any level without seeing this kit. That's for sure. This team is everywhere.
One of the most prevalent, absolutely. And they're probably going to be right now with the Winter Olympics going on. Norway has just amazing, amazing history with the Winter Games and with the cross-country skiing. That's really maybe one of the best weeks of their year, or every 4 years, getting to watch the Norwegian skiers. What Belgians are to cyclocross, Nathan, or even the Dutch women are to cyclocross, Norwegians are to cross-country skiing for sure.
100%.
Some Swedes might argue with me, but
Vikings Aidan, Camilla, Cecile, Hive, Jenny Gellestrom. It's going to be Kirian Stranen, Lynn Catherine Oe, Nina Zvetin, and Riek Hagen all riding for this team. Good to see them smashing it. How are they doing so far right now? Vikings Aidan 31-41 that we could see there. So solid results so far. I think they were in third place, going through at that 20K
I'm going to say
mark.
Third, or so 30-49 the quickest, and then 31-21 for Crush Pod 2 second, and 31-41 in for third right now.
They're kind of battling with Brave a little bit there. It looks like Aidan. Okay, that's there's got that 4
It's going to be close.
Difference.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. More times coming in. There's Hereford Triathlon Club. Want to give Mike Perry a shout out. Mike cheering for the Tri Club out here today. So thanks, Mike. I know they appreciate it. We'll start filling in times from that 30K checkpoint. As you go through that check, you're only 13 kilometers from the finish, and you'll have completed actually, that's a good question. Have you completed the climb? No, you haven't. You still have Titans Grove ahead of you.
I'm going to jump in with Crush Pod here real quick as they're making their way around and just give them a shout out. Solid results so far. They got a 31-21. This is the second fastest team out here so far today. They're battling with those who are chasing them, and this has been the back and forth week in and week out between this latte. This is kind of a legacy battle in this Vienna latte between Crush Pod and Galaxy Supernova. I think Crush Pod every week have their eyes set on Galaxy Supernova and vice versa. Right now, it's a 4-second difference out on the flat as they drop one of their riders. Enough is enough here, it looks like. And, Ali obviously put in a huge amount of effort here for Crush Pod to get them where they're at. It's Allie Robinson, 22 races total, but let her go and finish it up. It looks like here with 5 riders, or maybe even 4, because Galaxy are chasing hard.
Speaking of Winter Olympics, that battle is like the Canadian and American women in hockey, right? Really, it goes on and on. It's epic, and you never know who's going to get the better. Let's see if we get some more times coming in, said R. Scott Alba with the 48:30. So still looking for that Galaxy Supernova time. They've been absolutely crushing it. Well, probably not the right word to use because Crush Pod would say we're crushing it, but they are motoring out there, Galaxy Supernova today. Nice advantage. Are they going to be able to hold on to that gap they've built up? This is Crush Pod that we're in with now. Sarah, Allie Robson, Anya Heinen, Justine Walsh, Lynn Mahey, Nan Deerdorf, McLean, and Robin all making up this team. Although they need to tighten up a little bit right now. Couple riders just on the
They
cusp. There
waited
you
for
go.
Allie. They actually waited for Allie. That might cost them the race. Unless Allie had some sort of I gotta grab my water bottle because she's going strong all of a sudden. But interesting that they waited up as Robin S went backwards here to kind of wait up. She's actually from that flag is a interesting one, Virgin Islands, as level 38 Zwifter or
Maybe the
Robin.
Amazon guy was banging on her door or something, and she had to.
She had the gels, had her sugar ready to go for the glycogen
The
reload
gel
here.
was out of arm's reach. She needed a second.
But that actually, look at the it was they had 4 seconds on Galaxy Supernova. Now they've lost 7 seconds to them at this point as Galaxy Supernova come
Perfect
on through.
example of
So
that's a real in real life look at what happens when you wait. You know, that 10, 15 seconds. There it goes.
exactly. Interesting enough here as this is going to be the Galaxy Supernova team, and
Fastest
this
team out there right now.
gonna be tough to beat them now. I thought Crush Pod might be able to throw down here. Crush Pod are gonna have to really do something special in the back end of this race here as they make their way
To be
through
honest,
Titans Grove.
Crush Pod would need these ladies to pull off a similar maneuver, having to wait or something like that, because right now they can just ride their tempo that they've been riding all day, and they're in great shape. I like Kate Spicy. She is keeping the Australian, keeping things spicy out there, no doubt. This is a tremendous ride out here, Nathan, that we're witnessing from Galaxy Supernova today.
Yeah, super
It's
solid
usually
effort.
closer than this. It's usually a
Yeah.
little closer than this.
I just want to shout out the Vienna Espressos. There's only 3 teams showing up on the day actually for the Vienna Platinum League. So, well, from what I had signed up, I'm looking through here though. I've just got BBB with a 43:38. They're most likely finishing up here at this point. Big shout out to them though. I did have TSC Cinnamon Rolls as well as Soxwat's Aero Unicorns
Oh,
on the start list. So we'll see if perhaps something comes through there. But
hey,
I
I
think
wanted to
they,
send a
for some
happy
reason, are
birthday
in
out.
the Frappes here, as you can see.
Martin Bjorkvik, 50 years
No, is
old
it
today. Happy
really? Is it
birthday, Martin.
happy
Yeah,
birthday to Martin? Where is that coming through?
I saw it on socials,
Happy birthday. Now, if you don't
social
know
media.
who Martin Bjorkvik is, Swedish Zwifters would not exist without Martin. That's
Oh,
just the
he's the
reality.
cornerstone.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so big shout out to Martin and happy birthday to him. We also would not have gotten, I don't think, any Swedish candies in
No,
ZCL broadcast without Martin around. So big,
we love
very, very
Martin.
thankful to him and everything he's done
Whenever you
for this community.
whenever you hear Nathan or myself mention Tutti Frutti or the Cinnamon Rolls or any of the Swedish Swifter teams, Martin took the time to collect. They all actually exist. The candies, coffee, La Bamba. The coffee was great. And Martin sent both of us a care package that was really sweet, really appreciated. Um, and you can see why Martin is beloved in the Swedish Swift community. So, again, happy birthday, friend. Enjoy the last few hours of it. About
Looking to
12K to
see,
go for the
yeah,
women here.
looking to see if we can get across to the Frappe category shortly here, as Galaxy are only closing down more of this time, Dave, as you can see, as it starts to head uphill. Crush Pod Now,
When you're hot,
maybe
you're hot.
settling for second place out here today. But I mean, is anybody hot on the heels though of Crush Pod? Is gonna be my question. As
We're
we look,
gonna
I
know
mean,
in just a moment.
Rave were kind of there, but not really. I think really the battle here is for fourth, fifth, and maybe being able to close things down to Rave there a little bit. Rave are having a great ride though because they went out first, meaning they were the slowest team, and they're currently sitting in third place.
Yeah, nothing to shake your head at. That's for sure. Just Galaxy Supernova velocities on an incredible day. They're 1 minute faster than the Crush Pod, that's certainly a world class team. So we got a real ride going on today. This is Swedish Swifters that we were just talking about, Sigurdsson, that we're in with here. Again, you see a lot of this jersey out there. The Cinnamon Roll sitting fourth right now at the 45.19, 43.41, the fastest time in our Vienna Frappe for Socks for Watts. The Aero Unicorns are back and galloping today. Toyota Cryo RDT women, 44.24. So Crush Pod, the other Crush Pod team that we've got in Vienna Frappe here with the 44.25, 45.19. As we mentioned, TSC, and then Crush Pod Spiced Frappe sitting with the fifth fastest time here. Ravon, then B2B, Coalition, and TSC Sticky Buns. That's your top 9 at the moment.
Dudas is saying forget it and dropping the rest of her Rave team. I think is there something like what's the tactic here is what I want to know. Like if I could jump into their Discord right now and be like, what is happening? Is this planned? Or are you just trying to instigate your team to just ride faster? Was there some sort of what's the situation here? I wonder. So interesting to see how Dudas is tackling this. She is being chased down pretty quickly here by Wheel. Holt there as well. Tennille Irish, always great to see her out there. She gets mentioned almost every broadcast as she jumps into every race, it seems, that there is out here. And she does 0 on Tuesday. She does the chase race on Wednesday. And then she does the TTT here in the Vienna Frappes here on Thursday as well. I want to know what the rest of her week is. Is it racing more throughout the entire weekend as well? Because Irish just keeps showing up.
I wonder if teams, Nathan, at times will say, everybody just ride your own pace up the climb and regroup at the top.
I think that might be a thing. I wouldn't be. I've actually
is
seen
that
some
possible?
teams,
I mean,
it seems like some teams
it's the
do
only
that with
way
what you see happening here, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, I guess I'm trying to explain to myself why you would do this. I guess that could be it.
Tennille's waiting up.
It's not the most competitive way to race. It's not the fastest way to race, but it could be psychologically a way for everyone just to get through it without too much stress.
Deborah Dudas is actually a level 50 Zwifter. She's got 683 races. That's why she's off the front.
683. Wow.
60 plus rider. A lion right now over the top.
This is also kind of when you have someone who's just an exceptional, has climbing ability that is a level above the rest of the team. It's hard to throttle back, isn't it?
Yeah, she's a 4.08 watt per kilogram rider at 213 watts. So serious.
Wow. Legit.
Yeah. Very legit when it comes to racing.
So we'll figure out. I mean, that's part of the craft of team time trialing is figuring out how to use the strengths and to pick up the weaknesses of some riders and using the strengths of others to just help get everybody together out there. And I think they're going to just start reeling her back in on this downhill sector as they're looking at a little over 7K to go.
And so this is going to be the Ravon team. Coalition looking to chase them down. It looks like they're doing just that. Only 40 seconds behind. Where did Coalition start? They were the second to go. Yeah, 47.09 though. Ravon were the third to go. So maybe Ravon caught Coalition at a 47. That must be what's happening here. And I think Coalition are also being caught here by the TSC Sticky Buns as they make their way down the other side of this climb out on the Titans Grove. This is the back half of the race here for them. Give a shout out though to Coalition. Amathea, Amy Young, Arian Richter, Cindy Maloney here, Jill Theodossi here, Joanna Barorook, all hammering away. This is Cindy Maloney. This is her first ever team time trial.
Wow.
And she's made the group all the way through here. It looks like solid ride, level 39 Zwifter. But she's been doing the Zwift Duathlon League for a while, it looks like. She did the Zwift
Canadian
Racing League.
rider.
Yeah, Canadian rider. Let's see. Well, how long has she been doing?
Yeah, we got Amy Young, Ariane. You mentioned Sydney, Jill Theodosi. We were just with, and the Polish rider Joanna Borowick on Coalition. Did I get everyone there?
Interesting enough, Cindy is been doing like the creative side of racing out on Zwift for a while. And I say the creative side, like ZA Try race back in 2019, 3 years ago. That was her first race on Zwift Power. So very experienced rider. She's just jumping into her first team time trial ever, actually, and right into the Platinum League. So great pickup actually here for Coalition.
Yeah, Coalition's another team on the move, building up a stronger and stronger roster of riders on this steep little pitch here. Working our way through Titans Grove, such a fun place to ride on Zwift.
I think Coalition saw they were going to get caught and said, "Forget that," and
started lifting the
on
pace a little bit. Yeah,
they opened up 9 seconds.
that'll do it.
SZ was.
I was talking about adrenaline. Adrenaline is an amazing thing. It really is. And you look in the rearview mirror and you see someone right behind you. It certainly spikes it. 6K to go. Inside is 6K to go. Now, most of the tough part of the course is behind them. We're back with the Swedish Swifters now.
The other teams that are out here, Kirchner Vienna Frappe, Crushpad Spice Frappe. It's going to be Toyota Priority T women are out here, actually, which is one of the top teams. They picked up Joe Munden, only her second, as well as Leah Menz for the Toyota Priority T women. I'm going to see if I can find that team because there's some interesting pickups actually here for them. Sox Watts did show up here, it looks like, for this.
I think they had the
category.
fastest time at some of the splits that we were looking at earlier.
Yeah, here we go. We got them back. 43-36.
And they still do. Yeah, good old Aero Unicorns are back at it out here. And it looks like they brought the full roster today. As in our Vienna Frappe class, this is Anna Oxley, Donna Watts, there's a big name, Ellen Gronvik, Emma Pye, Harriet Swainson, Julia Hargreaves, and Sally White, along with Tina Ryman and Vicky Sultana, making up Socks for Watson. It looks like everybody's still there as well. All 8 riders. Don't see that much at all today.
Yeah, they're making a really solid push here on the back half of this course.
Oh, this is your
43-36. Currently 3 watts per kilogram. Looks like they're weighting up a little
bit.
They're
the gold standard, though. Yeah, they can afford to lose a few riders and still hold on with the huge advantage they've built up here. 45 seconds or so on second place at that split. We'll see what Kirkmeyer, Vienna Frappe. No, that's it. Everybody is through. So on the way home now.
Chasing B2B that are ahead of them, but B2B I think started a little further down. They're almost a full 2 minutes back here at this point. So Socks for Watts really taking it to this category here at this point as they look at Crush Pod. Norns, this is let's see. This will be interesting to see how these teams take on this descent. Look at Strasser here to the front, super tucking. Now look at 4.5 watts per kilogram here coming from
here we go.
Ernst as she looks to try and pull through. Strasser now to the front, now pushing a solid 6.2. So they are kind of rotating their efforts through a little bit. And now someone needs to take speed to the front. We'll see if somebody's kind of got that knack down for what they should be doing here. It does look like they're going to do that as Strasser did take that speed right to the front and pulls at 6 watts per kilogram on the uphill. I want to kind of see how they swap this up or if Strasser's just going to take over.
Wait,
and
a
take
big part of the
gameplay.
Big part of the gameplay in Zwift is carrying your momentum through. And this is a sector where you can really, really fine tune that. All these ups and downs and twists here through Titans Grove.
I've never seen this helmet before. That's a cool helmet. Is that a triathlon? Like, that's got to be
It
like a
must
special
be.
triathlon unlock because I don't do tri stuff, and so it's got to be like that's a ZA tri thing going on there. I would assume, right? Like that's the color, so that's the
Very cool.
branding of the ZA
And it's
tri, right?
specialized, which makes sense. If
Mm-hmm.
you're following your theory, that would be another clue. A lot of ride-ons in the pocket there too.
For Chedburn, yeah. Look at
Yeah, this is
that.
a well-liked rider. Man,
She's giving us a little kick now because she's getting dropped out. It's TV time. Can't be getting dropped for the TV time. Out of Scott, 171 beats per minute. Let's go. As Chedburn looks to
well,
try and get across, it might be over though for Lauren at this point. 1.5
looks like the
watts per
Aero
kilogram.
Unicorns really got their act together, didn't they? Or not that they needed to, but they had a great day, I should say, for the Aero Unicorns here. One of the franchises in WTRL's history. This is our Vienna Frappes that we're
looking to
looking
try
at.
and fight it back here a little bit. Level 29 Zwifter out of Scotland. She does the Zwift Racing League and the team time trial week in and week out, it looks like, for the last month or more. Definitely a triathlete, as I'm seeing a lot of triathlon stuff. She did the Zwift Duathlon League as well, so would make a lot of sense as to why she does have that helmet on.
In with Chadburn, the rider. It looks like that. I'm looking up front. They have 4 still, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Strasser
So
went back to give her
I
a
think
wheel,
they're
it looks like. Cool on Strasser. Now Strasser giving a little bit of kick. And this is a
going to
situation where
help
you're
her.
watching the team trying to weld things back together with one rider going back for the other.
The time taken off of the 4th rider's wheel. So this is all pretty interesting. The dynamic here.
I mean, this is essentially just like team camaraderie at this point. Team, like ethos, trying to make sure that everybody finishes together well. Cool to see, but from Strasser. Now Strasser's going to roll right on through. Obviously, one of the stronger riders on the team.
This is the crush pod that's sitting in 3rd right now at that last split, the 30K split.
It would be because they started 9th on the day, and this is the back end of the pack. Is B2?
All right, let's see if that paid off.
Behind.
Yeah, I mean, so they were 2 seconds behind at that split. That was not ideal there. Let's see if they can take advantage of getting everybody back together as they have now. Was it worth it? It may have been. It may have been.
Yeah,
They're going to need to pick it up
chasing
now.
them down. And there was what was the gap there? It was only 6 seconds between them. Did they lose 6 seconds from that? Was that worth the game?
It's kind of hard to say. Yeah, I mean, probably there or thereabouts, to tell you the truth, Nathan.
Chedburn to the
4K
front
to go.
after getting dropped. We'll see if she can put in.
I mean,
a
if she's
effort.
contributing to the pacemaking now, really interesting, actually. This is a very experienced rider, Joanna Ernst, that we're looking at for Crush Pod Norns. I would think so. Yeah, we've been with Crush Pod for a few minutes here. They were struggling a little bit. Couple riders went off the back. Now, they continued to have 4 where the time would have been taken, but it looked like they just ever so slightly waited there to get the entire team back together.
Strasser just straight to the front, 4.9 watts per kilogram, and says, "Okay."
She was the rider that went back to go help.
Yeah, and now she's just trying to pull the entire team to the line here. This is a very international team, actually. Not a single flag the same. You notice that? Strasser out of Germany.
Yeah. Let me take a look. Looks like some of the teams are just finishing now already. So we'll start looking at finishing times. So Strasser out of Germany. They've got a few German riders here, as Juliane Matzke also with Caroline Kraus, Germans, and Lee Mentz. We've got Sarah. No, actually, you know what? There's 2 Crush Pod teams here. It's a little tricky trying to separate the 2. Run through all the names, though, as we've got out of United Kingdom, Frankie. Carly Graham is a New Zealander. Joanne Ernst, the American, I mentioned earlier. Lauren Chedburn, who we watched fight back. Real great effort from Lauren out there. Lara Newell.
Coming out of Zimbabwe, Laura Newell.
Zimbabwe. That flag stands out.
The wife, yeah, I think this is Northern Ireland, right? Yeah, coming out of Northern
Correct.
Ireland.
Yeah.
And then the sole American is going to be Joanne Ernst on the team. Last push to the line here, as you can see. We do have Sox Watts chasing them down. B2B, only 2 riders here back here. And then Sox Watts with, I mean, they'd really, I mean, Sox Watts would have to have a really rough go of it here. If they, well, Sox Watts Aero Unicorns actually already finishing up. This is going to be the odd Sox, actually. Excuse me. The 45-47. As Aero Unicorns, I think, walked away with this one easily within the.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for them.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and head on over to our results.
Probably.
As I think the
crack the champagne over in Sox for Watts World Headquarters. It looks like.
Yeah. As this Sox Watts Odd Sox are going to finish up and be our last team out there. As they make their way around the course. For the frappes here, I'm gonna just double check and see what's going on. We may have a few lattes actually still out on course. It is a long day out here today.
It sure is.
As we jump back over to, have the Vixens finished up out here for the lattes? Yeah, they have. So a lot of these teams are just getting across. I think the D categories, as you can see here, not the D categories, but I mean, this is the population.
I mean, they were an hour and a half of saddle time.
Of racing out there and warm up. So
yeah.
long day out there for all of the racers. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of our results, though. Dave, will there be any course records still broken is going to be the question. It was close. It was only 16 seconds. Gardner was letting us know actually between at the top level between
with them starting with 5. Remembering that, so they
exactly.
came in.
I wonder if we're gonna have any more course records broken out there today. We'll jump in with the Dopios first and take a look at that. And maybe by the time we get on to the results for the ladies, we will have the Vienna Mochas there. Finishing up as well, but we'll see how this ends up playing out here for the Dopios. In the Dopios here, Cyrus No Pins at the top. Go ahead and take it away for us, Dave.
Thanks, Nathan. Cyrus No Pins with a blazingly fast 53.43. I don't think anyone's going to go better than that today, but you never know. There's still a few zones left to compete. Fusion ECT, second quickest time at the moment in the silver spot with the 54.17, 54.41 for each dirt in our Doppio class with third fastest time. Evo Warriors fourth. NZ Bro Slurtzik fifth. WTRL Volendam in sixth. BCRT the Doggos seventh. Cycling Power Race Team eighth. Down and Dirty Vipers in ninth. And Cryogen Gulls holding on to that 10th fastest time. We'll see if 56.04 is the threshold or not.
And at the top there, 54.57, Kirchner E-Racing Team men hold it down and set a new record for the Espressos. Their Smurs Frey Espresso 55.14. Almost exactly tied. It's only 0.5 of a second actually between them and TSC Waffles there. It's Kirchner Espresso 1 there at 55.35. Jet Racing Team in 5th, followed up by Euro Innovation, Euro Aliens in 4-6. Vikings L in 7th. It's going to be Adam Racing Team Photons for the Espressos in 8th. Backpedal 2 in 9th, and on the Rivet Dash, rounding out your top 10 out here today for the Espressos.
All right, let's take a look at our frappes now. It was a very quick 56.40, fastest time. It was out of our Platinum League that we've got right now as dirt time at Chaser Zetas holding on to that 56.40. It's Schmerz Frappe out of Germany, second fastest time. ZR Scott Kelpies with the third quickest here. As we then go to Virtue Slow Siddhartha, fourth quickest. Fifth, Atom Racing Team, ART Atomic. Garage Pain Chasers, sixth quickest. It's the Vikings, Jormungandr. Seventh fastest at the moment. Kirkmeyer Frappe won eighth. Dirty Down and Dirty Blackbirds, ninth quickest time, and then Eva Bullets in our Frappes with a 58.34. That's the 10th fastest time at the moment.
And in with the Viking Valhalla for first place in with the lattes. Slow the Strudge coming on through 33 seconds back there in second place. Up and Thrudler, Latte 1 in third. It's going to be RR Woolly Rhinos in fourth there. Cryogen Emus in fifth. HP Racing Nitrogen in sixth. Vikings Milner in seventh. PFC Lancaster eighth. And Kirchmer Latte 1, followed up by Dirty Rascals Wrath. Looking at this, the tight racing really between third through that eighth place, actually. So, and most of it coming out of Premier Platinum League, but that Zone 7, extremely competitive. What is going on in Zone 7?
3 teams.
I want to know.
Ooh. Yeah, they're definitely elevating. Let's take a look at the Mochas now and RR Sumatran Rhinos who deliver a 1:07.58 to take the fastest time at the moment. It's TFC Hurricane who are only 5 seconds and some change back there. Great job, TFC. Second quickest. Team Type 1, the Gluconauts. Third fastest. ART Krypton fourth. Zed Sonar Nebula fifth fastest time. TSC Mocha Cakes in sixth. WLBB the Underdog seventh. Coalition Tempest eighth. Spooky Blokes, DUE in ninth, and Eat Dirt Trois in 10th.
Going to jump on over. It is going to be Seesaw Race Like a Girl racing out of Zone 10, actually taking it down with a 1 hour and 48 seconds there. While Cole shows up in our minute back, though, Seesaw Race Like a Girl with a solid ride today. BBB with a 102.23 in third. It's going to be NZ Bro Cheese Rollers coming out of Zone 5 in for fifth. Aeonian RT in NZ Bro Cheese Rollers in fourth, Aeonian RT in fifth, and TFC Victins. That is your Vienna Espresso so far for the day with 10 zones said and done in the Vienna Frappe. Socks for Watts.
Yeah, great job. Socks for Watts Aero Unicorns, a 102.15 to put the fastest time on top of the table. It's going to be Toyota Cryo RDT Women. It's all top 5 coming out of Platinum here. Toyota Cryo, second quickest. Crush Pod third. TSC Cinnamon Rolls fourth. Crush Pod Spiced Frappe fifth fastest. Then Zone 8 shows up. Cryogen Blue Jays there in sixth. Zed Sun R Pluto seventh. Socks for Watts Odd Socks. They're going to be the 8th quickest time so far. B2B 9th. And ZU 4R Girl 10th quickest time out of Zone 7 with just a few zones left to go.
That Crush Pod versus the Toyota
Cryo, right?
And it ended up being Cryo. It ended up being Cryo that took that down. Yeah. So we had that question actually during that little bit of a wait up. So I think Cryo was able to ramp it up in the back end of the race for sure. Galaxy Supernova, they do it. They take it down here. It looks like Crush Pod 2 fading. It looks like on the way through the back end of the race is Virtus Slow, no doubt, come through for second. UP, nice ride by What's Up C. They're coming in for third. And it's going to be Crush Pod 2 in fourth. Hertford Triathlon Club Vixens with all of their cheering on in chat. They're coming in fifth. Rave Against the Machine, 12 seconds back from them in sixth. Vikings out on in seventh. 2 seconds back is the Evo Comets in Zone 10. Angular Momentum in ninth, and ZR Scott Elba. They round out your top 10 in the Vienna Lattes. The Galaxy Supernova seem unstoppable in the Vienna Lattes lately.
Yeah, no doubt. Here we go. Take a look at our Vienna class and the Aeonian Chicas with a 107.39 in platinum, fastest time so far. Kirkmeyer Team B's. Look how close that was, Nathan. Unbelievable. Just 1 second there separating Kirkmeyer from Aeonian. Great racing, ladies. Crush Pod Cortado in with the third quickest time. Zed Sun R. I've been doing that all day. Zed Sun R Quasar. Fourth quickest. Watt Fabric Kiss My Back Wheel. Fifth. RC Feel Rebulinas in sixth. It's Owl.Bike. Seventh. NCTC. The Mares in eighth. Evo Meteors ninth. And Virtue Slow Pink our 10th quickest time so far today.
And for next week, number 148, this is going to be the lead-in to the World Tournament. So make sure to jump out there next week as we've got 25 kilometers on Douce, France, 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday. Sand and Sequoia is the longest TTT, other than probably as far as time goes, the Alpe de Zwift. That was definitely, I think, a sufferfest. Over an hour for some of these teams
Long
at
day.
a full gas effort. I mean, essentially, if you're talking about an FTP effort, right, is 1 hour straight. That means that there was kind of, even amongst these teams that are over an hour, some reset moments. You know what I mean? Like we're out here hammering away.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's kind of like we need to get some energy back on board. If you're still racing today, bring sugar. Like I'm going
Good
to
call.
be
Pro tip.
I'm going to be taking this in prior to that, and then I'm going to probably also take in a gel in the middle of my race as well later tonight. We're going to be in the 50-minute mark or so, a little bit over 50 minutes. So definitely get that sugar and lots of water. This is a no joke race out there today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back with Zwift Racing League next week. Obviously, Premier is over on the GCN Racing, is all of our broadcasting for the rest. And it's the final week next week. Climbers Gambit, Dave. Are you looking forward to it? I've seen a lot of recon rides going on.
Double points. It's going to be absolutely awesome racing. And it's certainly the most exciting we've seen in the history of the ZRL. It just gets better and better. So, yeah, come join us for Premier. And then Community rolls on. We've got another team time trial after Climbers Gambit to look forward to as we then have what should be an incredible playoff. So, yeah, we're firing on all cylinders right now in the world of Zwift and esports.
If you haven't checked out the Chase Racing, you can check that out from yesterday. It was a lot of fun. It's kind of turned into a little bit of a podcast situation with me and Anna as well, chatting a lot about what's happening in the ZRL. So you want to go check that out. Otherwise, we will see you next week for Zwift Racing League. As always, everybody, WTRL.racing for the rest of the results for the rest of the day. Go check out the Twitch channels as well if you want to watch some more TTTs. And we'll see you next week for some racing. As always, ride on. Thank you.